Our route was going to be to head north from Grand Cayman to Caya Largo Cuba, then west around the western edge of Cuba, up in crossing the Gulf Stream towards Florida, and then along the Keys and on up to Charleston. We arrived Grand Cayman one day later than we had anticipated, but still happy to be there. First thing we did was check out some boats that were on our dock, painted maybe by Guy Harvey, or at least in the Guy Harvey genre. And then we moved on to projects. Our first was an air conditioner that had frozen up. So we let that thaw. You can see the ice is just glistening on there. So after we left it for about 24 hours, it did thaw and we were able to get it back to operating condition. Next was a trampoline connection that had gone bad. We were joined on Sunday by Grace, who is a daughter of a friend of ours. And then on Monday, Bill arrived for his second voyage with us. We left Grand Cayman on Monday afternoon. Governor's Creek Channel was our exit, Captain Stephen at the helm, and we enjoyed our last look at all the beautiful surrounding area and the beautiful homes by the marina there. Once we got out in the open water, we noticed the water's getting a little bit rough. So this is the actual outgoing channel that we needed to navigate through. We handled it without a problem. However, the rest of the sail was quite rough on us. So not a lot of pictures until we get to Cuba. These are Cuban waters, beautiful light turquoise, and we were so happy to arrive. Our trip took about 24 hours, so we did an overnight sail and we arrived to Cuba about 3 p.m. on Tuesday. We enjoyed our sail in. It was quite refreshing to have finally made it to Cuba, and we headed towards the Caya Largo Marina, which is called the Nautica Marlin Marina as well. And we're greeted by very friendly immigration officials there who cleared our boat in. The clearance process took about 2 hours, and they were pretty thorough in checking the boat over. They checked the food storage, and we're a little bit concerned as we had stocked up for a 2-week trip, and were very gracious in allowing us to basically lock up the refrigerator and not do anything that might introduce new diseases or new insects into the Cuban environment. The visas were $75 each and were good for 2 weeks. We were also told that we needed to clear out at that same marina before we headed to our next port. We also saw some other boaters on the way in enjoying the sandy key. Once we left the marina, we anchored out by the reef and were able to take a dip in the Cuban waters. We snorkeled over by the reef area. That evening we anchored closer to the beach and enjoyed an amazingly brilliant sunset. After a good night's rest, we enjoyed breakfast in the cockpit.
So we decided to jump in the dinghy and leave the Pilar to head to Playa Sirena Beach. We knew that was going to be a pretty place for us to go, so the three of us hopped in the dinghy to head that way. Playa Sirena Beach translates into Mermaid Beach. Dawn couldn't resist the thought of the siren song of the mermaids. Of course, we didn't hear that song, but we did enjoy the sounds of the waves breaking on the beach. We had a lovely walk down the beach, and it wasn't long before we realized that we had landed on a clothing optional beach. We didn't know that at first, so it was a little bit of a surprise. About 10% of the beachcombers took that nude option, and that was fine with us. The waters were gin clear, and the reflection of the sun on the white sand and the deep blue waters made the colors of the water just brilliant. It was a beautiful beach, one like I'd never seen before. Many of the Bahama waters or the Caribbean waters are very similar, but this one in particular, for this day anyway, was absolutely brilliant in the colors, and we loved having that walk down the beach. At the end of the beach walk was Playa Mal Tiempo, or Bad Weather Beach. This is the point where the deep water meets the beach. But we think this was somebody's idea of a bad joke, because there certainly wasn't any bad weather when we were there.
Grace decided to guard the dinghy and catch a swim right by the beach. Bill decided to stay on Pilar and complete a project.
Okay, here we are with Captain Dong. He's dinghying us along on this gorgeous island of Cuba at Caya Largo. It's lovely. We're going to go into the marina and clear out so we can have the proper paperwork and pay our anchorage fee, which is 30 cents a foot per night. There's another cat coming out of the inlet there. If they let us out.
Although we tried to fit in some bone fishing, we were not allowed to do so without a tour guide. We explored the local shops and I bought a Cuban handmade blouse to support the people. Then we enjoyed a couple of bucaneros at the nearby bar. Mid-afternoon, we left Cuba and headed towards the western edge of Cuba, which we were then going to round and make our way across the Gulf Stream to Key West to clear into the United States.
So here we are putting up our parasail. This is the coolest thing ever. Hard to get a video of because it's so massive, but it is super light sail. Helps us when we have following winds. And see the whole process today. There she is.
A lot of twist on one side.
Good evening. 2:40 a.m. and we are on night watch. I'm on night watch. Everyone else is sleeping. We were able to turn off the engines tonight. We had our parasail up and we're still making about 5 knots even without the engines, so that's really refreshing. And we just had a 600-foot freighter barreling down on us from behind. He was about a third mile away, so we had to radio him and ask him to kindly shift his route a little bit as we are under sail and can't really maneuver very well with the parasail because it will quickly knot up and wrap its way around the spreader. We don't want that. So all in all, a great trip today and great night watch so far. We've got about a half a moon out tonight and had an excellent dinner. We did our mahi that we caught, that Stephen caught. We grilled and blackened that mahi and enjoyed that for dinner. And then Grace made her banana Foster dessert, which we've all been waiting for this whole trip. So we finally got that in tonight. And looking forward to another great day tomorrow and getting over the U.S. territory line. Talk to you tomorrow. We caught 6 mahis on this trip. We kept only 3 for eating. We also had a cute little stowaway enjoying our cushions. Grace learned a ton about sailing, enjoyed it immensely, and was looking forward to exploring opportunities to continue when she returned.
So at Dawn's request, I am checking these Spinlock life jackets, self-inflating, which involves checking to make sure the light's working, and checking to make sure that the CO2 cartridge, inflation cartridge is good. This one is not good. It's rusty and it's showing some red. So now we're going to attempt to blow ourselves up by changing it.
Sounds fun, Bill. Thank you very much for that. It's not often that you get to endanger your life on this boat.
So I was doing most of the fishing on the trip, and Dawn had asked me to tell a little bit about the rig I had here. We ran out of bait long ago, so one of the fish that we caught, I took his belly and I tied it into a lure, as you can see. I made that lure so that it looks like a fish swimming in the water, and that tail will swim in the back of it. Then you put the head of the lure over the top of it, throw it back in the ocean, and we're going fishing.
So today while I was on watch, guess what? The rest of the crew got some shut-eye after a long night of night watches and a little bit rough seas, but we were cruising, going extremely fast, and everyone felt comfortable enough to take a nap.
Grace, tell us how you came to be on Blue Dot Voyages PILAR.
Good question. My mom knows the Bells for working with them, and after my experience in Puerto Rico, I fell in love with the ocean, and of course the Bells have a love for the ocean as well. So I guess the opportunity arose for the two to meet and be in this amazing, festival, exquisite adventure of moving their boat from point A to point B. And this has honestly been one of the best experiences of my life. Experiencing this voyage has been amazing.
That's awesome. And we love having Grace. Great help and super interested in learning everything there is to learn about sailing. So great having her on board.
Thank you for having me so much.
You're welcome.
Again, incredible experience.
Hopefully we'll do another trip someday.
Yes.
Once we can retire. We caught a barracuda today. Not gonna eat this one. We gonna catch and release. Nice. How big is he, Captain?
Oh, man. Stinky.
Smelly. Woo.
Beam reach, just about a full beam reach there. And as Bill said, we got 7 knots of wind. It's not the prettiest thing to see, but who cares? If you're getting 7 knots or better, that's pretty strong.
Some bait rigging. So right now he is putting brine on the ballyhoo, and the brine's purpose is to toughen the bait so it doesn't go limp in the water and the fish won't think that it's real. It helps preserve the color of the bait in the water. It increases the amount of time that you can actually have this particular bait in the water. Anything to add, Stephen?
Nope, I just need a bite. That's all. I just need a bite.
Yeah.
And I'll get us a bite.
You gonna be rigging some more?
I will, not yet though. I'm gonna just grind these first.
Yeah. All right.
Two baits out there.
Our approach to Key West, Florida was calm as we have ever seen it. And so we made good time approaching the channel for our clearance check-in with customs. Hi everyone. We are, what day is it? Sunday. We are headed from Key West to South Carolina, which is just south of Charleston. And we are right now in easterly winds, which is right in our face. However, that's going to be a really good thing once we get to the corner of Florida. And we are at about 11 knots of wind against us and waves against us, but it's not a problem. The waves are only like a half foot tall. So very easy ride today. And Captain's going to fill you in on some of the latest trip stats.
So we made it from Caya Largo Cuba, which was an absolutely beautiful stop, by the way. I would advise anyone that is in that vicinity to stop in Caya Largo. Gorgeous waters down there. We sailed from there around the western tip of Cuba with a following sea. We used the parasail for most of that sail. And then when we turned the corner at the west end, lo and behold, the wind turned in our favor there as well. And we had another downhill run from there, also with the parasail for probably the next 24 hours or so. And then a front came through, a light cold front, and that immediately turned the wind to the north, northeast. It was in our face then, and so unfortunately the motors began to churn, and we motored the rest of the way into Key West, where we did clear customs. However, we were able to clear customs on the CBP, Customs and Border Patrol app, which was absolutely flawless. It was really awesome to use that. So we had pre-registered both the vessel and ourselves, and we were able to easily add our 2 passengers, Bill Chinnis and Grace, on that entry. So all of that was done on the app. Shortly thereafter, Miami called us on the phone, and then they did a video chat with us to verify the persons that were on board, and we were cleared, and it was done. We didn't even have to enter a port if we didn't want to. We went into Key West anyway and got fuel, and to look at the strange people.
And have dinner. We had dinner on land.
But that was really great. That is an awesome app. If you're not using that thing, you definitely need to use that.
Yeah, I'll put a link down in the notes.
So as we said, Dawn said, we're heading directly east right now because we're going from Key West around the Keys. So we won't be able to enjoy any winds in our favor until we get probably north of Miami, where they become easterly for us. We have a big Bermuda high that is sitting off of the eastern seaboard, and that's going to give us easterlies and southerly winds as we get a little bit more up to the north. So we think we're going to have a good trip for the rest of the way.
And he's going to catch more fish in the Gulf Stream. What are you going to catch?
Tuna and marlin and mahi.
So good thing we're not out of provisions, because we wouldn't be able to eat fish.
Yeah, well, I think we're almost out of food.
We're not out of food. He always says that, but we're never out of food.
I think we're out of food. You out of food?
We still got 2 passengers on board.
And we picked up the 12-pack of beer. So we're good.
Good. We're good. We also picked up some bananas.
So a normal man would say, I can't with any good conscience go fishing because I got work to do. But Steven says, I can't with any good conscience go working because I got fishing to do.
That's exactly right.
Okay, hey everybody, it is 6:09 on Monday, and we are heading up the coast of Florida.
steady that I've had for quite some time. I came on watch at about 10 knots average. I'm easily averaging 11 and a half and better. In fact, right now I'm looking at it, I'm really going up to 12 and a half. I saw 13.4 knots, so yeah, I sped us up on my watch. It put
But
me
how
on
did you do that?
I can't, I don't know if I can tell you.
Yeah, you can.
I undoubtedly edged just a little more into the main part of the Gulf Stream. So maybe that gave us a little more.
I see.
A little more knots. But yeah, we're smoking right now.
Little Gulf Stream assistance.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
Our ETA right now is like 2 p.m. tomorrow. Of course, we can't keep that up. But
No, I don't want to be there that early.
yeah, that'll be too soon. So I'll slow it down later, I promise. When I get out of the Gulf Stream.
All right. All right, Grace. What do you think about these wild waters?
Water's been moving today. It's been
Yeah, we're moving, that's for sure.
motionful.
That's a new word. We coined some new words out here on the boat.
Definitely, yeah. I don't want can't get there too soon. I've been enjoying my time way too much. It's been amazing. But all good things come to a close.
A temporary close.
Temporary close, that's true.
Yeah.
My close.
Yeah.
12 and a half.
Oh, and our cellular radar keeps not working.
That's a reboot.
Weird. Looks like it's kind of working, but not really working. By the way, this is about the tightest we have had our Genoa. There's still enough belly in it to give us speed, of course, but that line between the Genoa and the block is the shortest it has ever been. So that baby is taut.
Yeah, there you go. Now he's mad. All right, in the box.
Okay, now we have Grace and Bill cleaning the side of the boat, which is really awesome because it's hard to do.